Okay, so here's a fresh bottle of liquid nails. And lots of caulking, not all caulkings, but sometimes it'll have on the inside a little Teflon piece or a little aluminum piece there that you have to pierce. And when I get a caulk gun, I always like to make sure it's got my little piercing tool right here. Now some caulk guns don't have this, so look for it. Okay? And most of them nowadays has a little cutter right here. So you can put this in, cut the tip. I don't usually use it though. It usually roughens this up. I usually cut that with my tin snips. I don't like cutting it, by the way, with a sheetrock knife, because that's a good way to cut your thumb or your finger with your sheetrock knife. So I'll make the first cut with my tin snips, boom boom. And here's the type of tin snips I'll use. And I'll cut that and then maybe pinch that out. And then if there's a little burr there, then I'll finish that off with my sheetrock knife. Okay? But when I get ready to pierce this, I'll flip this out, and then instead of piercing it just once, see, if I just pierce it once, I only have this much of the caulking going through that, and sometimes maybe the thing doesn't rip and you have to keep pressing it real hard. I'll just jab this down in there, you know, quite a few times like that, and then I'll wipe that off, because a lot of times when you put that back in, and then you might hang on to the gun with your hand, and now all of a sudden it's all on your fingers, especially after you use this the first time. This is all full, and then the next time you need it, you pierce it through there and you get it all the way up. So I usually try to wipe that off and keep that clean. And incidentally, if you need to clear something that is about this size or a little bigger, just remember, on your caulk gun, you always have this, so you could use this to clean out holes of, you know, whatever. You've got it right here on the tip. And most caulk guns don't cost very much, so get the one with this. If it costs you 99 cents more than the caulk gun without this, so what? This is well worth it. Okay, so there you go. Because see, if you didn't have that, what are you going to use to pierce that with? I've got a scratch awl here, but lots of times you might want to cut the tip thinner than that if you're doing some minute work. And maybe, see, I can't even push this all the way down to hit it. I'm only down that far. Okay, so I would have to push this bigger, then all of a sudden the hole gets bigger. Well, what else do you have? Well, I got a little screwdriver. I could use that. I could have used that. Boom, boom, boom. If I didn't have this. Okay? If you don't have a little screwdriver, what else are you going to use? Well, if you had a framing nail, I just happen to have some here. You could use a nail. You could use that. Doink, doink. Do that, and then when you get done with the caulking, you could push the nail back down in there so that this doesn't all get hard. Because if you don't use your caulk gun for, let's say, 4 or 5 months, and you still have half a tube, 3/4 of a tube in here, this is all hard. How are you going to clean that all out? You got to start digging it out and stuff. If you had something in it, now you can pull that out. At least you've got a hole this big through that hard piece. You don't have to cut this bigger and try to pry it out. Pretty soon you've got a big old fat tip here that's all messed up because you had to dig it out with your screwdriver or something. Okay. Another thing you could use is you could get a long screw. This is only a 2-inch, but you could get a 3-inch screw, and I've done that before, and I'll put that down in there. And then to pull it out, I can unscrew it, you know, with my screw gun or my Phillips screwdriver or something like that, if that's in there. But I would want a screw that's long enough to go all the way down in there, because I don't want that area to get hard. If that area down there gets hard, then I got to get that out, and then it's hard. Then you have to squirt and squirt and squirt to try to get the big piece out of there and dig it out. So there's a few tips for you when you're using your caulking. Well, I just sprayed on my bleach. I filled up about that much. And if you're going to use this little spray bottle like this, make sure you write bleach on it so that you only use this for bleach and not for your plants or for anything else for that matter. Okay, so I saturated this area. I even sprayed inside the holes. I'm letting it dry right now. I even sprayed up in there because eventually, once I get the floor on, I'm going to have to pack this with something. This is, I even sprayed that. That's part of the OSB, and I don't know how far this backing goes. I think it goes 5.5 inches. I'll have to be careful on that. And then I might chisel this part out and put a new little piece of OSB plywood in here, from here over to about there or something, and then patch in the rest. Because see, I still have to do stuff down in there. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's like, how on earth did that get like that? And I think it was just because it leaked right in here, and the OSB, once the edge of it, or once right in here got wet, it just acted as a sponge, and this got wet, and a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further down in there. And I'm going to try to save this, but I'm going to have to cut the top from here down to there off, so I can take that little strip off so that I can see what's going on in there, and then I'm going to have to patch in that over the top of this. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, but even the side of this plywood, I sprayed in there to get all that stuff, because this plywood's going to stay. I may have to cut out just a little sliver over here and patch that, but I'm not going to do that all the way across here. See, this stuff right here is nice. See there? But I still sprayed a little bit in there. See where it's kind of black right in there? I sprayed in there. I sprayed out down in that gap, even though nobody's ever going to see that once I put the ledger on there, but that'll kill anything in there. And right up in there I did, even down in that hole. Right down in there I sprayed in there. Okay, and those holes, sprayed all that patch area where the stucco has to be patched. I even took a little bit and sprayed down here, not a whole lot. Sprayed down in that cavity. I thought I was just going to spray a little bit, so I'm glad I poured about that much Clorox in there, and I used it all, just about. There's hardly any left in there. And now I'm just going to kind of let that dry. Once it dries, then I'll fill up these holes. And you can put regular caulking in these holes if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and put some construction adhesive in there. That'll work too. I'm going to have the ledger up there. Once my floor goes to here, ideally, it's not going to leak from here on down. Okay? But since this is open, I'm just going to go ahead and fill it up anyways while I can. Now see what I was talking about? I made it just a hair long, not very much, but just a smidge, and I whacked it in there so it will stay up without me touching it. I tried to do that. This one's just a hair longer than this side. It's about 1/4 inch longer than from over here. And I measured it, cut it, and it was just a hair loose. So I took it out, and I took some of my 1-inch screws right here, my little 1-inch screws, and I screwed it in on the back side. You can see where my screw marks are there and there, and that made it tight enough so it'll hold up there and snug enough so that I can tap it around and do whatever. I'm not going to leave those screws in there. I'm going to end up, I can use this board here for the second floor joist over here. See, the first one's going to be this long one here. I've just got up there. Now I can mark that, as I was saying, right? I can mark it and then level across over to there. This one is actually going to go in here, so I'll tap it over and then I'll measure it off. And I'm not even sure if that wall is square to this edge over here. I'm just going to have to kind of make an assumption that it is when I put the plywood in. When I cut the first piece of plywood, it'll tell me whether or not I'm going to have to do something funky on the notch, whether or not the last joist is going to be right in here for the 8 feet. It's like 8 feet 6 inches or whatever. This last 2x6 floor joist, once I get it up there, I'm going to leave it loose, or I may not even put it in at all until I get the plywood up here, because if I have to notch it a little bit further over there, cut off the end because it's not perfectly square or something, I may have to line it up to that. And if I do that, and if I put this in, then it's going to be off, and I'm going to have to slide it over after I've got it nailed in with the joist hanger nails. What I can do is I can put the joist hanger in with just 1 inch dry sheetrock screws, the black ones I just showed you, and then if I have to move it, I can loosen that up, tap it over. When I know exactly where it's going to go, I can undo, or I can put the nails in, you know, the joist hanger nails. That's what I'll do, and I'll do that. So this one here will probably be the second one over here, and then it won't be short. And if I do get one that's just slightly short, I guess I could do the same thing. Just take a screw on the back side, because what's going to hold that ultimately is the joist hanger. The joist hanger is going to hold it, not toenail nails going into that or anything like that. The joist hanger is king. Okay, so now I can get up there and mark that.